Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk to you about our emotions and how we can deal with them in healthy ways, and also how vital all our emotions actually are. We're living in times where there might be a lot of emotion coming up for us and maybe present, and we don't want to ignore those. We really want to be able to honor those. We often tend to judge our emotion as, good or bad. The ones we perceive are good are, happiness and joy, at the same time as we might label things like anger or sadness as something that is bad. And really, though, they are all very vital, and often they're signposts for things that are going on underneath. And often our emotions can inspire us into very considered action and important action. So we need to be able to honor those and to recognize when they're there and to delve a little deeper into what they actually mean, at the same time as allowing them to flow through us and finding healthy ways to be able to express them. So, what we tend to do often with emotion is to repress it. We want to shut it down because it feels uncomfortable and we don't really like feeling it. And unfortunately, what that does is it tends to uh, mean it sort of gets stuck down in our body, because all emotions are there to really to be expressed in some way. And if we shut them down and suppress them, they say that 90% of our subconscious mind is made up of those processed emotions, and they will usually come out in some other way at some point in time, whether that be within physical illness, or maybe the way we sort of just erupt at some point when we can't hold it in anymore. So we really don't want to repress our emotion. At the same time, we don't want to overly express, to go into those volatile reactions and reactivity that can often happen when we get triggered and when we're in reaction mode. So we want to find ways of really expressing our emotion in healthy ways, because if we fly off the handle, I don't know about you, but often I'll end up feeling, then I'll feel like guilt and remorse and all those other things, which tend to be, I think it tend to make things worse in many ways. So what we really want to be able to do is start to really find those healthy expressions, to feel them. So you can honor them so that you can actually bolster your relationships actually, and be able to thrive and have healthy expression. So there's a couple of ways to do this. Firstly, one is to actually name the emotion. So when we can actually just honor what's actually here, whether that be anger or sadness, and name it, it actually takes 50% of the charge out of it. Also, to say, I feel angry rather than I am angry. That means you are not actually the emotion. It is just something that you are feeling in this time, and it is going to pass through, as with everything. It will move through, the emotion will move through. And that's what we really want to be able to allow our emotions to do, is to actually to allow them to flow, to be expressed in healthy ways. Another way to do it is to actually feel the emotion in your body. I know for me, particularly when I feel, for example, anxiety, I will. The one thing that really, the only thing I find actually for me that actually allows it to shift is to actually sit with it. So, what I'll tend to do is place my hands on my body and step out of the story around why I'm anxious. So often what we'll do is we'll say, I'm sad, I'm anxious, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and we'll go into all the story of why we feel that way. So we can actually almost churn it up even more and embed it more back into our body. So what we really want to be able to do actually, though, is just to feel it. So it's like, well, what does anxiety feel like? Well, there's butterflies in my tummy, and my heart's racing, and my hands feel a bit sweaty. And eventually, if you just feel it in the body and what the feeling of that emotion is, it actually just begins to shift naturally. They say that emotion passes through within about 90 seconds to 3 minutes. I find sometimes it takes me longer than that, to be honest, but it really depends on what's going on. But I often feel if I'm feeling into my body, it'll move through, particularly with anxiety, within about 5 to 10 minutes. Sadness, I often find will shift relatively quickly. Um, Anger can take a little bit more time. If I'm honest, sometimes I really need to feel into that. And, sometimes too, get your frustration out, beat a pillow, do whatever you need to do to actually really experience that and to help shift it, and then to work out how you want to proceed forward. And that might be, sitting with whatever you're feeling, taking that time to pause, and then, coming back to what you want to express, the following day. So try some of these things and see how they work for you. So the key is really to honor what is here, to know that there is an emotion there for a reason, that it's something that you is within you that needs to be expressed in some way, and maybe even to feel in what's underneath it. Often our emotions, the reaction ones are covering up deep fears or other things that are going on within you. So to sit with those and, to maybe take action to work through those. And but just start to become present and to realize that there's nothing good or bad about what you're feeling, that it is just simply emotion, and they'll all pass through, the good ones as well as the bad ones, but to honor them. And the other thing I was also going to share with you too is affectionate breathing, which is just placing your hand on your heart and just breathing into that. And that's a really beautiful way to, to soothe anything that feels really heightened within you. So I hope that's helped you today, and I look forward to being with you again soon. Take care.